Good day. Today I'll be talking about weight loss. A lot of patients come to the hospital and they keep asking question that how to lose weight. And mostly those people are polycystic ovarian disease, post-delivery, post-menopausal, and these days equally men want to lose weight. So this is the problem of everyone. So why weight is important? For general population, it is just their self-image. And for doctor, it's about the health. And when it comes to the health, what is more important? It is the percentage of fat and where that fat sits. So is there a way to measure percentage of fat? Yes, there are so many sensitive measures around which can check your percentage of fat in your body, like DEXA scan. But the problem is they are not widely available. So what we do in the hospital when patients come to us, to doctors, what doctors do? Measure your healthy weight. Generally, most of the time, we check your weight and height ratio, that is BMI. So why we check the BMI? Because it's so easy to do. You don't need a lot of equipment and it's widely available. It's just a formula. But problem is it can be inaccurate in certain population. And who are those? If you are an athlete and you have high muscle mass, muscle is heavier and your BMI will come like in the range of unhealthy population, but you'll be a healthy person with increased muscle mass. So if you are exercise lover or you are an athlete, your BMI is an inaccurate measure. So, but why we do in the general population, why we do BMI? Because it's easy, it's widely available, and most of the population is not athlete, not going to the gym. So then it is mostly an accurate measure in those population about their percentage of fat prediction. So is there any other measure to know how much is the percentage of fat? Yes, your waist circumference. So for women, it should not be more than 35 inches. For men, it should not be above 40 inches. And where do we measure exactly the waist circumference? That is just above your bone, which is here, hip bone or iliac bone. Just above this bone, you put your tape measure and you surround it, and it should be measured in inches. There is no robust data that how much should be the waist circumference, but it is plausible that lesser is the better. There where fat sits. How to know? You might have heard about two types of the body shape, the pear-shaped body and the apple-shaped body. Pear-shaped body is when your fat sits in your legs and hips, and that's a better body shape. Why? Because that fat is actually subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat means the fat sits just under your skin, and that fat mostly is a silent fat. It doesn't communicate with your body and your metabolism and your blood stream. It is like a silent account where fat goes and it stays there. Then there is another type of shape of the body, which is apple-shaped body. That is very harming because in this type of the body shape, your fat sits between your organs, inside your tummy, and that is not a silent fat. That is called visceral fat. So what's the difference between the visceral fat and subcutaneous fat? Subcutaneous fat is a silent fat, lesser risk, and most importantly, when people have subcutaneous fat, they are concerned about their body image and they just start doing measures or be on diet, start going to gym when they have subcutaneous fat. And it alarms earlier and make you lose weight. So what about when people do liposuction for this fat? That's the biggest mistake, because you are losing a fat which is actually saving you from metabolic disorder by storing your extra calories, extra energy into that fat. What about visceral fat? Visceral fat is metabolically active. It keep on interacting your metabolism, keep on interacting your bloodstream, keep on throwing off chemical mediators, which could really be dangerous. And what is metabolic syndrome? It's a big list of very bad diseases like polycystic ovarian disease, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, fatigue, depression, and last but very important, the cancers. Obesity is a state of chronic inflammation. What does it mean? When your cells, fat cells in your subcutaneous tissue or in the viscera, they get ballooned or stretched to full by fat, the surface of the cell gets damaged. It just gets due to stretch. And then it signals to the body that damage of cell surface is happening, same like when you have a bacterial infection. And body detects it as a damage and starts sending white cell to that area, and that white cells are not silent. They keep on releasing chemical mediators, and that chemical mediators are not very good. They put your body into inflammatory state, same like having some infection. This is the talk about like how much and why the fat is harming. Now let's come to the weight loss. Whenever we start talking about the weight loss, we talk about this food, that food, this much calorie, that much calorie. But let me surprise you that there are some other factors beside the calorie and composition of the food which can affect your weight loss. What I mean by saying that, the same food and same amount of calorie two people taking, but there are some other factors. If they make those factors different, people can have weight loss and people can have weight gain with the same calorie and with the same food. There's a very famous book around, and that is Gene Eating. It is written by Dr. Giles Yeo. He's an obesity geneticist in the Cambridge. And one of the chapters in his book is all calories are not equal. What does he mean? He means from plate to your blood. There is so many factors which can affect same food translating into calories into your blood. So first is processing. By processing, it means which kind of what form of the food you took. It make difference in different people to translate into different calories. Like say suppose you took celery stick, chopped celery stick. So if you took chopped celery stick, it will give you, and you just munch it, chew it, and then it went into your gut and went into your blood. It will give off 6 calories. But if you make a soup of it, then the same celery stick will give you 30 calories, because by cooking, by warming, you make those calories bioavailable. If you took chicken or beef in the form of steak, which is like 2 to 3 minutes grilling time, it just goes to your gut, you chew, you in mouth chew, then it goes to the gut. In the gut, it just gets processing. So it gives you lesser calories. But if you minced it, then you cooked it in a sauce, then you layered it with lasagna, and then you bake lasagna. And then after eating, you just said that, no, it's quite a lot. I will put it in the freezer and take it next day. Next day you rewarm it, and then you took it. The calories will be totally different, because this much amount of cooking and processing made those calories really bioavailable. And that will give you much more calories. Same for taco. If you took the corn just like that after making slight cooking of the corn, that will give you less calorie. But if you minced it, make a flour of it, and then you cook it into taco, the same corn, because before when it was corn, the calories were bound to the cellulose. It were not bioavailable, and it kept on passing through your gut because they were bound to cellulose. And now you make it bioavailable. The amount of calorie will be much more than when you took it in the form of corn. Then next is biological clock. The time of the day when you took the same food, your gut receive it differently, process it differently, and gives you off different amount of calories. Then how hungrier you were when you took the food, this is your body readiness to receive that food, and how faster will be the metabolism. That is also affected, and the same food can give you different amount of calories. Now the last, all different macronutrients could be the same amount of calories when outside, but since they are different macronutrients, it can give you different amount of calorie, just because they are could be different how much calories they consume while they are breaking down in your body. Let's start with the processing. Your gut is 26 feet long, and it has a second brain inside. It's not just silent, it's just not a tube, it is full with the neurotransmitter, a lot of chemical mediators. So when you take it more unprocessed, chopped, less cooked, your gut has to work a lot. So when it is passing through your 26 feet, it is slow. It is not breaking down. And when it is going down to the end of 26 feet, more journey it has, more chemical mediators, and more your brain getting signal that your gut is full. Here we understand the example of celery chopped or in soup, corn or in the form of taco, or beef or chicken in the form of steak, or in the form of lasagna. Your gut is 26 feet long, and the second brain is inside your gut. It is 15 times your own height. And when you took food less processed, less cooked, not minced, not powdered into the form of flour, it will have a longer journey. Longer the journey in your intestine, more are the signals to the brain, and those signals are satiety signals, and that tell your brain that gut is full. So stop eating. Gut has food. Stop eating. Again, we understand the same example why chopped celery stick can bring more satiety signals than the one in the form of soup. People think that fruit juices are good. No, you after processing, you made those calories so bioavailable that you took it, and it won't have any journey in your gut because these are raw calories. It will just go to your bloodstream after going to the gut and give a signal that there's sugar. And it won't cause a consistent rise in insulin. The basal level of insulin will rise because there's so much calories suddenly available to your bloodstream. And if there's an insulin spike, it is an adiposity signal. It tells your fat tissue that there's something coming to be stored in the fat. And all the calories in the juice you took, immediately it goes to your fat tissues, and your bloodstream becomes totally without glucose, and you become immediately hungrier. So if you want to take fruit, don't take juices, take them in the most raw form. Biological clock. In 2017, 3 scientists got Nobel Prize on discovering the clock in the human body. They discovered that there's a central clock in the minds of human and even in the animals, and that starts when there is a sunrise. Your biological clock, your central biological clock in your brain starts. Later on, they extended their work and they found out this clock is not in just in brain. There's a more clock in your periphery of the body and in your body, in each and every cell of your body. And they're not automatically sync with your central clock. Your peripheral clock, which is in your body, that is that starts by your feeding behavior. So if you wake up, your central clock started with sunrise and your peripheral clock starts by your breakfast. If your central clock and peripheral clock are in sync, then you are in the most healthier state of you. But if they are not in sync, like the people who have night shifts, they take more food in night, or if you are in the jet lag, you arrive in some place where the time zone is different, or people who work in different time zone, we see they might not be in their healthier state. And so we all should make an effort to sync our central clock with the peripheral clock, and that can be done by eating breakfast in the right time rather skipping breakfast and having late night dinners. There is a new concept coming which is called chronopharmacology. It means like if you take some medication at certain timing, they have the maximum effect. But if you took those medication in a different timing which is not suiting those medication, you may have lesser effectiveness of those medication and more side effects. Say suppose if you took hypertension medication in the bedtime, they have the best effect and less side effect. But if you took it in the morning, there's a chance that you might die of heart attack. And irony is most of the doctors, they prescribe hypertension medication in the morning. Same findings were found in the cancer medication. When those were giving in certain timings, they have lesser side effects and more effectiveness. This is still growing branch in the pharmacology. So in future, we will not just get medication, but we will be suggested certain timing for better effectiveness and lesser side effects. Future will be that there will be something biology that will be lifestyle modification that won't just tell us about the diet, which diet and what exercise, how much exercise, but even the timing of food, which time, which exercise, which time, and that will be chronobiology. There are certain experiments done, and in those experiments, people were divided into two groups. One group was named King, Prince, and Pauper. Other group was given name Pauper, Prince, and King. King, Prince, and Pauper group was given calories like 700 breakfast at 8 and Prince at lunch 2 p.m. 500 calories and Pauper at dinner time at 6 p.m. 200 calorie. So it become 700, 500 and 200 calorie. The opposite group was given totally opposite number of calories, the same number of calories but in different timings. That group was Pauper, Prince and King group. Like in the morning at 8 they were given 200 calories and in lunch time they were given 500 calories 2 p.m. and at 6 p.m. they were given 700 calories. And in 6 weeks what they derived the results, that was King, Prince and Pauper group has more weight loss, and not just that, they were 2 inches off in their waist circumference, while Pauper, Prince and King group have the same number of calories but they have different results. Dinner It is the biggest meal of the day. It's not necessarily nighttime meal. Nighttime meal is actually supper. Historically, if you just go to the Wikipedia, you'll be surprised that it used to be 2 p.m. meal. Anybody who used to take dinner later, like 4 p.m., they were frowned upon. And in Wikipedia, you will read that there was a prince and he was frowned upon by his parents, the king, why he takes dinner at 4 p.m. But industrialization came, people start working late. They used to come evening at home, and at home with their family, they start taking the biggest meal of the day. And then it became tradition. All around, people are taking dinner in the restaurants, even at 11 p.m., and sometimes it even goes to 2 a.m. early morning. Then something being very much talked about around, that is intermittent fasting. So that was the point which we discussed in the earlier, how hungrier you are when you took food. The all form of intermittent fasting is not beneficial. The one which is beneficial, that is time restricted feeding, that is 10 hours window, and that window has to be 8 to 6 p.m. And even in that 8 to 6 p.m. we saw King, Prince, and Pauper group has a maximum benefit 8 to 6 p.m. because their distribution of calories was more in the morning time. Time restricted feeding, 10 hours window of the eating, and that window in the morning time, 8 to 6 p.m. earlier in the day, that is scientifically proven that it has benefit. And there's other kind of intermittent fasting, like one meal a day. It needs more research because one meal a day, if it is the morning time, then of course it's really beneficial. But what happens, people stay hungry whole day, and then in the night they take one big meal. And just because they're really hungry from the whole day, they do the ravenous eating. They make bad choices of food because they want to reward themselves because they have been hungry a whole day. And then they become slow. They don't move and they just sleep like that. So it is plausible that it might not be giving them the best benefit. And they don't have time to digest that food also. And whole day they keep on having activity which could have been the chance to digest that one meal. And even if you take one meal a day in the morning, it will be giving you calories for the whole day activities. We have some lessons from the obesity surgeries like Roux-en-Y bypass. In Roux-en-Y bypass, they make your stomach the size of a egg, and so you eat less food, but that is just a matter of time. It gain the size back, whatever. The main advantage of Roux-en-Y gut bypass is that small size of the stomach is not directly connected to the same place where it used to be. They connect that small size of the stomach to 1 meter farther than normal. And what happens when they take food? It is a small amount, and then this small amount doesn't go to the place where it used to go. So it goes 1 meter farther in your gut. So your gut, which is 1 meter farther, receive less processed food because 1 meter of processing is gone. Your most of the gut is receive the food less processed, which it used to be more processed normally. So your chemical mediators or your hormones which are released from your gut are different this time. They studied and they found out that after Roux-en-Y bypass, even less than 24 hours, your metabolic profile changes and it becomes really favorable, and without even it's just within 24 hours your metabolic profile gets better. So we have lesson here that less processed food enters your body. It has more favorable chemical mediators going to your brain and making your metabolic profile much better. Ghrelin. We cannot do the whole talk of weight loss without talking about ghrelin. It is hunger hormone. So when your stomach is empty, it releases ghrelin. Ghrelin goes to brain and it tells your brain stomach is empty and we need food. But it's not just the food which can make the secretion of ghrelin. If you are dehydrated, also it makes the release of ghrelin, and ghrelin goes to your brain while you're thirsty, tells your brain stomach is empty and you might be you might be at risk of taking food rather than water because of ghrelin. So whenever you feel hungrier, drink water first. So maybe it just you need water, you are just dehydrated, and you have to satisfy that feeling just by water. And there are even other factors. If you are sleepless, if you haven't taken proper sleep, also you may release more ghrelin and you'll be at risk of taking food rather than sleep when you only needed sleep. If you're stressed, also it can make release of ghrelin and you may be taking food rather calming yourself down emotionally. And that may be a mechanism in the emotional eaters. Then macronutrients. Macronutrients are like carbohydrate, protein. So when these macronutrients you take, different macronutrients need different amount of energy to digest food. The most energy is taken by protein. When you take protein, say suppose 100 calories are supposed to come out of that protein, 30% of the calories you gain from the protein is actually consumed in the digestion of that protein. Fat takes the least amount of calories, and that is only 3%. So when you take fat in any form, 3% of the calories is actually consumed while digesting fat. Carbohydrate could be real complex because they could be just a candy which is sugars, and it could be a complex low glycemic index, high fiber grain like hull barley. So they can consume 5 to 15% of your calories while being digested, depending in what form you took them. When 20 years back, when we were doing residency, there was a book, Dr. Atkin diet, and there were people who were doing Dr. Atkin diet, which was high protein diet, and people were losing weight. So how protein makes you lose weight? Because it is less processed. It takes longer journey in your intestine. So when this longer journey in your intestine is happening of the 26 feet, there are more satiety signals are released going to your brain, telling your brain that food gut is full. And then we talked about macronutrients consuming their own energy while being digested. That is most in protein, that is 30%. Then protein also has higher thermic effect, which is when it is being digested, it is releasing heat energy. We talked about other factors which can affect the same food but releasing different amount of calories. But let's talk about our food composition, how our food composition can affect our metabolism and our obesity, weight gain or weight loss. So grain choices. If you take high fiber, low glycemic index, complex grain, then there's a chance it will have a longer journey in your intestine. When it has longer journey in your intestine, it will release a lot of satiety signals. It will not cause sudden rush of energy, calories into your bloodstream. It will be consistent, persistent, slow release of the calories, and your body will be in harmony. So what could be the best grain choices? Hull barley. Hull barley is the barley with the husk. Or amaranth. Historically, many centuries ago, we humans used to take amaranth as the grain. Quinoa, which has been said to be superfood, or whole oats. If you soak whole barley or amaranth overnight and then boil it next day and take it in place of rice or the bread, and put whatever you put with the rice and take it, and you will see the difference, that how there won't be any sugar rush and how full and satisfied you will feel. There's a book around, You Are 10% Human. It is written by a biologist, and she talks about very surprising fact that you are only 10% human. Your cells, your composition is only whatever the cells you have, your brain, your intestine, your heart, you're just 10%. 90% on you is our bacterias or other microbiomes. And she says that it's not just that they're there, they affect your health, your disease, and they can even affect important decision in your life, like what career choices you will go for, whom you will marry. If you take care of those bacteria, you will be in the best state of health. When it comes to your gut bacteria, how can we can take care of those bacteria? You have to take less processed food. Only if it is less processed food, it will go past the whole gut to reach at the end of your 26 feet where your good bacteria are residing. If you're not taking less processed food and nothing is reaching at the end of your gut for your good bacteria to be consume, so there's a chance that those good bacteria will start eating or irritating your end of the gut, and you might be suffering diseases like IBS. Less processed, low glycemic index, high fiber, complex carbohydrate to be available for your good bacteria so they can consume it. Traditionally, in our countries, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, we consume rice and roti. And same for the Arab culture, they consume rice and khubz and bread. All of us consume. So what happens with the rice? Rice is high glycemic index grain, and you take rice and you feel full, you can be in the food coma, and it goes in your gut and there's a spike of insulin, and this all sugar carbohydrate, it just goes to your fat, and then you're hungrier. Even brown rice, they are actually more calorie dense. There's a new concept, resistant starch. If you keep your rice overnight in the fridge and then you consume it next day, it changes into resistant starch, which is better than non-resistant starch, but still it's here not the best option like hull barley, because it's a lifestyle modification. It's a long journey. If you grew up with the biryani and kapsa, then you can have your biryani and kapsa, but while you're having it, make sure you're taking it in the form of resistant starch, and you're taking the right portion, which is half cup cooked rice, and your protein or your beef or mutton or chicken, it should be size of your palm. Then roti. Roti has the same scenario as the taco and the corn. So if rather taking roti with making the wheat being minced to flour and then cooked to roti, if you take bulgur and soak it overnight and take it next day with whatever you were supposed to take with roti, it will have better benefit than roti. Then protein choices. There's a series in Netflix which is We Are What We Eat, and they compared 21 pair of the twin. It is called twin study, and they gave one of the twin the plant-based diet and the other twin the omnivore diet, and they then at the end of the experiment, the testing, they found that by DEXA scan, the visceral fat was lesser for the twin who was taking plant-based diet. Their cholesterol profile was better, and not just that, their chronological age was lesser, that they checked by the telomere in their DNA. Longer is the telomere, lesser is the chronological age. So they say even you can beat aging by taking plant-based diet. So what should be the protein choices? Rather than taking animal-based protein, take beans, lentils, but do not mince them. Take it more raw after soaking and boiling. In the twin study, which is in Netflix documentaries, we are what we eat. They said it's your dinner, not your DNA. I don't totally agree to that, but it's right that more choices of plant-based, like rather taking, it should be at least part of our diet, like beans, lentils, and rather mincing them, it should be more soaking in the water overnight and boiling them will be a better form. Let's talk about the fat choices. So best fat choices are avocado, olives, nuts, and good oils like flaxseed oil or olive oils. There's something called scientifically proven negative calorie illusion. They did some experiments. They showed cheeseburger to the people and they asked how much calories are there in this cheeseburger. So maybe suppose I said 600 calories. Then 3 celery sticks were put alongside that cheeseburger. Then same people were asked how much is the calorie now, and the same people, they said now it is 500 calorie, because this is a concept and it is called negative calorie illusion. It means when you put unhealthy food alongside a healthy food, it gives you idea that it's a healthy food now. Same technique is used in marketing, like they keep broccoli with burger or lettuce with burger, or they put parsley with noodles or strawberry with cereal, and it gives us an idea that this is healthier food, which is not true. Your perfect diet is in your genes. So what does it mean? Obesity is polygenic. It means there are hundreds of genes in your body which determine that you will be obese or not. So is there any solution, one size fits all? No. There's no such solution which should be for everyone. In fact, you must be knowing what solution should be for you. Say, suppose if you are cravers. Cravers have this thing that they will be sitting or doing something, and then they will realize that there's a ice cream in fridge, chocolate is there, or there's a biryani pulao or kapsa in the fridge, or yesterday they were in Nando's or someplace and then there's a takeaway in the fridge. So they keep on having this craving of the thing. What could be the solution for them? Intermittent fasting, because they have to discipline themselves that no, this is not the time to eat. Intermittent fasting is the best solution for them. If you're emotional eaters, because they get carried away by their emotions and don't care about what to eat, when to eat. They need emotional support group. And not just that, they can have education on portion size. So even if you're upset from something and you're at risk of eating a lot, if you remind yourself, no, this is the size, I have to take only half cup of this certain food and I don't have to take any further, you will put that and you will at least know if you're taking more that now you're doing wrong, and that feeling will make you stop at certain point. Some people are weak satiety responders, like when they're eating, they just don't know when to stop. For them, more protein, and when they're taking carbohydrate, less glycemic index, high protein, complex grain can help them, because they will pass through the 26 feet of their gut, and that will keep on giving them signals that gut is full. And these are satiety signals that can help you stop eating. The portion size education also can help them. People have seen the movie Gladiator, and it looks really interesting to think what diet they might be consuming. You might be thinking that they might be eating mutton leg or something. Let me surprise you. It's scientifically established that they were beans and barley munchers. And they used to eat beans, which is a plant based protein, and they used to take hull barley. And just because of the nature of this food, they really have to chew, and still it will be very less processed to enter your gut, enter your 26 feet. It means to be in your best healthy state. Also, you can use plant based protein and low glycemic index, high fiber, complex carbohydrate. So, how our 9 inches plate should look like? It should be 1/3 of the protein, like beans, and half plate should be veggies, and 1/4 should be low glycemic index, high fiber, complex grain. When it comes to the weight loss, you go through the books, you will find mostly they're talking about diet, calorie, what to take, food components, but there's more to it. The metabolism, there's not much studies in the metabolism, because we see every day that same food being consumed by one sibling, another sibling, or one friend, other friend, but having different effects. So what does it mean? Yes, people can have different metabolism, they can process the same food differently, but sadly there's not much research into it. So how to increase metabolism, or how to rev up our engine? There's not much, but I just went through a few tricks which I would love to share. Pick up the pace. It is like if you're doing something like you're jogging or walking. So for just 30 to 60 seconds, if you just become fast enough that it make your heart rate higher, then it will increase your metabolism, and you don't have to do it for very long time. You just have to do for 30 to 60 seconds, and you can do it in the whole day for 8 to 12 minutes, which will rev up your engine. Then weight training, if you're taking protein and you're doing weight training, you will increase your muscle mass, and your increased muscle mass will increase your metabolism. If you drink green tea have catechins, and they say if you take 250 milligram of catechins, which will be in the 3 cups of green tea, it can increase your 100 extra calorie consumption. Inform yourself and read. Rather just being on diet, just learn how the food works, make it part of your lifestyle. That will help you lose weight. And stay informed, stay healthy. Take care.